This episode is sponsored by Empire's Comics Vault.
All right, well, why don't you guys start off and introduce yourselves real quick.
Okay. So my name's Christy Zerga. I am the co-owner of Legends of Heroes and Villains.
Oh, okay. And I'm Richard Zerga, co-owner. It's a father and daughter company, Legends of Heroes and Villains and LHV Publishing, and we do create our own line of comic books.
Okay, so you guys kind of looking into your stuff and your story. You guys have a really interesting story of how you got started. So why don't you go ahead and just take a minute and just tell that story, because I think it's a pretty interesting one.
It's funny how it came about. 2005, my oldest daughter, Nikki, decided for her senior graduation project she wanted to do how to create a comic book. And one of the gentlemen that I worked with, she needed to have a peer, somebody who was had some experience in creating comic books. And his name was Noel Stapo Serrato, who actually got his training from a gentleman named Billy Martinez. Okay. And that's how the company started. We kind of all pitched in and did a little bit. She got an A+ on the project, and it was a lot of fun. I'd been collecting comic books for years, and I had never drawn comic book characters before, because back when I was in high school and taking art and everything, comic book art was poo-pooed upon. You didn't do it. It wasn't art. And now it's completely different. And yeah, that was the first time I'd ever drawn any type of comic book characters or anything. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun. We've been doing it ever since.
So kind of what was it that went from going, okay, you got an A, this is a fun project for high school to do, to, you know, let's just do it. Let's start a company, let's make comics, and let's try this.
I think it just happened.
Yeah.
Like it was just so much fun to do. Like he said earlier, I wanted to do one for my senior project, and I was just like, that was just really fun. I want to do more. So it just kind of happened that way. It's addictive to do.
Yeah, it was when I was in high school. I started my senior year. I had graphic design companies recruiting me right out of high school. Okay. I'm 17 years old. I got plenty of time. And I never drew. Once I got out of high school, I had stopped drawing altogether. And from the time they were actually able to hold a pencil or a crayon, they had coloring books, they had colored pencils, they had paper. So I was making sure that they were always constantly drawing. Mm-hmm. And that was a bug. It got me back into drawing again. So there was nothing from '83 until 2005, and I just started drawing again.
Okay. What were some, like, I guess, the biggest hurdles or challenges to kind of get over from going, yeah, we're going to do it, it doesn't really exist other than we've said we're going to do it, to actually getting books out there, getting stuff published? What was that like of making it go from just, we want to do it, to it actually being something?
I think the biggest for us,
Figuring out how to do it.
yeah, was SCCG.
Yeah.
Jason Doobie. He had been doing it for such a long time, and we actually met him at it was a free comic book day. Mm-hmm. And we had no idea how to get it. Was horrible. When we were trying to get everything printed for our project, we didn't know about Comics Press, we didn't know about any of these companies.
We went through Kinko's.
Yeah. We would actually photocopy the paper, turn the paper over, and
it was a pain in the ass. It
yeah,
sucked so
we
much.
still have the original. We actually have it framed because it's the only one that we did. It's a weird size. The panels don't match. It's a mess.
Yeah.
But yeah, Jason's been fantastic. A lot of the information just got us going in the right direction. Otherwise, we'd still be spinning our wheels.
Oh yeah, because aside from the printing, like getting the actual comic pages done, like our first few comics, everything was written by hand. Like we didn't know, like, oh, we can type it up on the computer. You know,
Yeah.
he did all the writing by hand, all the effects by hand. It sucked.
Yeah, it
Like
was
I'm not even like showing them to anyone. It's god awful.
Okay.
It's the one that goes into the vault and never returns.
Yeah.
Boxes. We actually have boxes of them that we took them to Kinko's. We had them printed off, and we started working, getting more information from Jason, and everything started growing. And we just put them all back in the box, and they're sitting in the garage now. And they'll never see the light of day again.
That's cool. That's funny. So would you say, like, you know, you get into comics and you're not thinking about how are we going to print it, how are we going to, you know, run the books? How are we going to do this stuff? And you're like, I want to draw, I want to write, I want to tell my story. Obviously, you have to do otherwise no one ever is going to see your stuff, right?
Yeah.
So what's kind of like, how you, that balance between, okay, the business side and the art side, and then I'm assuming you prefer, obviously, the artistic side, right? Other than the business side of it, or
I do.
is the business side actually become quite fun itself, or?
Yeah, since we're small, it's been really easy to keep a handle on the business side. We don't do a lot of conventions. We do a lot of stuff on the internet, but we have such a tight knit group that the running the business hasn't become so overwhelming that, you know, we're like, oh my God, we got to do this and this, and now we have to actually put all the projects on hold so we get caught up on, and everything just, it's been really smooth.
Okay.
So when we get one comic done, then we launch the business side of it. It's promoting, and then the next one comes along and we start all over again. So we just basically do it in steps.
Okay.
I think this last year was the worst.
Yeah.
Getting ready for WonderCon, we had 5 titles that we had done in 2.5 months, just so we could meet the deadline for WonderCon.
Yeah.
And it was.
And the deadline was really last minute because we had one comic that we had to do was a commission. We had 2 of our own comics, and then a comic for partnered up with Jeff Hughes of Comic Book Divas, and our commission comic was deadline for WonderCon, and then Jeff Hughes was like, "Oh, I want mine done at WonderCon too." Okay.
Yeah. So
2.5 months, we got 5 done.
10 in the morning. We get up at 10 o'clock in the morning. Work until 3, go to bed, get up at 10,
Yeah.
and that was 7 days a week
Never
for
ever do it
2.5
again.
months.
It's
Yeah.
a pain in the ass.
I mean, it's nice to know that we can do it if we actually have to. We don't want to.
Yeah.
So then I'm guessing that this is full time for everyone then?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was doing it while I was working, and it's weird how everything kind of falls into place. I actually damaged my spinal cord at work.
Okay.
So I've been disabled since July 2009, and if I didn't have this to do, oh my God, big old fat job of the head,
Yeah.
TV dinners, watching, you know, my stories in the afternoon. So yeah, it's just weird how everything kind of worked out.
Yeah.
You know.
That's cool, yeah. That you definitely had something to do. What would you guys say, like, if, you know, anyone watching who's thinking, like, oh, you know, that's my dream, I'd love to do it too, but it just seems like such this, I don't know where to start, it's such a challenge. Maybe they're sitting there going, oh, I thought Kinko's was a pretty good idea, you know, it will work. Any advice you'd have for someone who's sitting there going, I would love to, but?
My suggestion is, and we had a lot of great input from Mike Hampton and Ron Lynn and Chuck, Chris Marinan?
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris Marinan. Go to the conventions.
And
They're-
ask a lot of questions
Yeah.
because all the artists are there. They're the ones to talk to because they know everything. You know, they've been through that. And they've all gone through the crap that we've gone through, going through Kinko's and looking and finding new places with better offers, you know, better product and cheaper prices. So you just have to find someone and ask as many questions as you can.
All right. I think the Kinko story is funny because, I don't know, it was probably 7-8 months ago we were talking, we were kind of, got into the whole Geek Church thing a little bit, like, where do we want to take it, and, you know, we're starting off with, you know, the web show, but eventually, you know, we would like to get into doing some comics or some stories, and like, okay, the most intimidating thing seemed like, you know, printing, and the reading about the old way, the big runs, and money.
Yeah.
And we actually, we were both working at the same church at the time. We just got a new copier, a color copier, and this thing printed beautiful color copies. And we're trying to figure out, like, could we do it on a copier versus, like, you know, if we were going to do, like, let's say we just want to do 100 copies. Like, we want to do something and get it out there, maybe just make 100 copies, not enough to go on a big run. Could we get away? I mean, it makes really good images, but would it work? And so we're, like, I remember sitting there before work. We're supposed to, we're sitting there going, like, okay, how much would it cost per page versus if we had it printed, and so kind of a similar idea.
Yeah, well, that's interesting you brought that up because we actually do 5, 7, 10 little sketchbooks that we put together, some penciling stuff, and we actually printed off our printer at the house.
Okay.
We do it black and white. It's inexpensive. I want to say with paper and ink, it worked out to be, I don't know, it was like 76 cents a copy.
Yeah.
You know, and we sell it for, you know, $10 because we'll do, you know, 24 or 26 pages. But outside of that,
Yeah, it was
no
cheap,
way.
but it was just a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Because the printer that we have is we have a brother printer, and it scans. The reason we got it is because it scans 11 by 17,
Oh, okay.
and it prints 11 by 17, but the tray in the back that uses special paper, you can only have one sleeve in at a time. So it prints. You got to get up, flip it.
Oh man.
And
Yeah.
that's if it doesn't come out crooked.
Yeah.
It comes out really crooked. Like.
That would be a pain.
Oh yeah.
So we use Robinson Anderson printers out in Elk Grove now.
Okay.
3-4 day turnaround time.
Okay.
Inexpensive. I think their minimum run is, I think, 20. So you don't have to do these monster 100 and. Oh yeah, it's just great. We take a butt out there. We pick everything up, and that's what we use now.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, because I know just from at least our perspective, that was the biggest thing. It was like, how do you get say you get it all lined up, you get it written, you get it drawn, you get everything together. It's like, then what do you do with it? You like put it on the internet, and then like we want a whole day.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because there's a lot more conventions now that are opening up Artist Alley, and they're inviting in more of the
That's
independent
cool.
artists, because that seems to be the way everybody's going, is picking up more of the independent stuff. With Marvel, kind of stagnating, DC relaunching everything, and there were a lot of mixed feelings over that. You still have Image and you have Dark Horse, but you have a lot more freedom with the independent field, and that's where a lot of people have been supporting a lot of the independent comic book writers and artists. So it's cool.
It definitely seems to be the time. I mean, between the environment, the internet opening up and stuff like that, to
Yeah.
definitely. So if you ever had an excuse, they're gone. Just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do it or stop talking about it.
Pretty much.
Exactly. And now we've been able to get up on Drive-Thru Comics, and people can actually download our comics digitally. And we did a special sale pricing for Black Friday and Cyber Monday, and Sugar Rush went like crazy. If I Ruled the World, and the Squirrel Sneak Peek, oh my gosh, I want to say we did about 150 of each.
Okay,
It was just crazy. But there's so many different avenues now that don't cost anything. Drive-Thru Comics, you put it up, doesn't cost you any money, and they send you money.
That's cool.
You have Facebook, you have free websites where you can promote your stuff, and then you can always do a storefront, and it costs you a little bit extra money. But there's just so many options out there. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to, if you have the desire to create your own comic book, to go out and do it. Yeah.
That's cool. What would you say, kind of turn directions a little bit to some of your titles? What would you say your guys' biggest title is?
Right now, it's actually Kitty and Bats.
Okay.
That one was released at this last SAC Anime, and the funny thing is that this particular issue, is the main characters, which is myself and my friend Diana, really violent characters. They hate everything. It's hilarious because in this issue they go to an anime convention and just freak out because there's nothing but those cosplayer kids there. And in real, the events in these issues for Kitty and Bats actually happen, but they're just exaggerated.
Mm-hmm.
So all the thoughts that are in there, everything that they say are stuff that we've thought and said.
Okay.
And it just sold really, really well. And it's just one of our most popular titles right now.
I noticed when I was looking at it, there was a note in there, like basically like, oh, it's really violent, it's really crazy. If you don't like it, just leave it alone and shut up. You're like, I'm tired of like hate mail. Did you have a lot of backlash with it, or?
Actually,
No.
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 Or are you just anticipating, or
I was
something?
hoping for it actually,
Oh, okay.
because it just cracks me up whenever someone complains about something like this.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when it has a warning label and has warning signs inside that says this is violent. If you don't like it, don't read it. Stuff like that. And people still complain about it. So I was hoping for hate mail. That way I could email them back and say, hey, you're a jackass. And it's just people like that just annoy the crap out of me, and that's why we make fun of them so much. So.
Okay. So if that's your biggest, would that also be maybe you don't have maybe like a house favorite, but like what's your guys' kind of personal favorite out of your line that you have?
Oh my goodness.
Hard to say.
I'm working on 2 right now that, if they turn out well, they'll probably be my favorites, and that's Dead Town and an offshoot of the Groovie Goolies from the '70s Saturday morning cartoon.
Okay.
It's going to be a different take on the cartoon, but the Groovie Goolies were awesome. You know, it was Frankenstein, the Wolf Man, and
It was terrible. It was a terrible show.
it was real cheesy, real campy.
Awful.
Every time somebody said something, it was always a pun on words.
Okay.
Every line.
But you can't go wrong with Universal Monsters. And then Dead Town is, you know, it's another zombie comic. We threw in a huge twist, and it's never been done before. And I don't want to say what it is because
Kind of spoil it.
yeah. But no, nobody's ever done it before, and we're really excited about getting this one out. But everything we've done so far, I've had fun.
My favorite is Katie and Bats, only because there's so much freedom in it, and there's so much truth to it, with everything that's like said and touched upon in the stories and everything. And issue 2 should be out next year, and I don't know, it's just really fun because, like I said, everything is based on events and stuff that's actually happened. So yeah, and then I get to work with my friend, and so I
It's
get to
fun, yeah.
she's always excited about that.
So do you write it or draw it or?
We both write it. I
Okay.
do all the illustrations and the
Okay.
coloring for it.
All right. That's cool.
I do the coloring for everything, actually. I'm our only colorist.
Okay. What do you use for your coloring?
I cheat. I use Photoshop.
Okay. I wouldn't say that's cheating. That's what
Yeah.
it's industry standard there.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Because I've tried coloring with the markers and everything. I don't like it. It's just too hard.
Yeah.
It took me years to get to this point as far as coloring, and I'm always like learning new techniques and everything and tricks. But I just have a lot of fun doing all the coloring. So
Okay.
he was like, I want to learn it too. I'm like, no. Like, I want to do all the coloring.
That's funny. You guys had mentioned on Crocopolis.
Crocodiloctopus.
Okay, I was like trying to how exactly would that be? I'm bad with pronunciation of stuff. So you'd mentioned that it kind of made me laugh. Not like laugh because of the same thought of you taking it and you made a comment about like sci-fi or Asylum. Pick it up, and I've seen a lot of Asylum films, and I know a lot of them are, you know, some people say they're like cheesy. I love Asylum films. I don't care. It's like they do the best they can, and it's, you know, a lot of people go, I want to make a movie, and they're not, and then they're making fun of, you know.
They did Paranormal Entity, which I thought was far better than Paranormal Activity.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was a lot creepier, you know.
It had
Well,
more history behind it too.
Yeah,
In their
but their
version.
take on Transformers was pretty cheesy.
Yeah, that one
Well,
I
wasn't
didn't see that
particularly good. But so what was with that comment? Was that just kind of like a funny comment, or is that something like, yeah, we'd really love to see this be made into a movie? Or
Well, the gentleman that wrote it, his name is Brian Shirley, and he has an internet site called alienbee.com.
okay,
And he wrote it and approached us and wanted us to do the work for it. And yeah, he wanted to do the Sci-Fi Channel, Roger Corman kind of stuff. And you know, I love B horror movies and, you know, science fiction movies of the 50s, and everybody's afraid of the bomb, and when it goes off, you climb under your table so
Yeah.
you're safe. You know, it's a lot of fun. But that was his plan all along. And one of the last times we talked to him, he was actually approached by 2 production companies, one out of LA and one out of Canada, and they were showing a lot of interest, and that was the last we heard. But yeah, that was Crocodiloctopus.
okay.
That was actually one of the ones that was our commission one that was due for WonderCon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So that would have been more of his comment about trying to get it produced.
Correct. We
Okay.
actually just, you know, brought it over. It'd be fun to see it up on Sci-Fi. Hey, we did a comic book.
Yeah, that would really help even boost your sales
Yeah.
and your
Yeah.
stuff. Everyone who saw the movie, go back and check you guys out.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so if it happens, it happens. If not, you know, it was fun to do. So.
That's cool. Did you have any? You're sitting here listening quietly.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if you were going to ask this or not, so I didn't want to throw it in premature. But I was wondering, father-daughter comic book team is kind of rare. It's the first time I've ever heard of it. So I was wondering, like, how does that, like, you first bring that together? Like, did that just, you both come up with the idea like, and you just came to each other with it, or which one of you first came up with the idea?
It's interesting because it just started happening, especially when it comes to female characters and male characters. My female characters look like dudes, and her male characters look like females.
To
So-
be fair, I get a lot of influence from anime, so that's
Yeah.
kind of how it plays in.
So anyway, we just kind of partnered up on the projects, and it just became a partnership that
And it
way.
just grew together without.
Yeah.
Okay.
And another thing that kind of helped is that he does really, he does a lot of really good backgrounds. I hate doing backgrounds.
Yeah.
I did it in Kitty and Bass, but there's like very few backgrounds in there. A lot of it's just like color backgrounds. So that's another thing that actually helped me, and helped us pretty much get together on the same
guys-
project.
Yeah, just symbiotically like playing off each other's strengths.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't something we sat down, it just kind of merged together. And then she started coming up with ideas for projects, and I started coming up with ideas for projects, and it just melted.
And then another thing is, what's your like the greatest influence as far as your artistic direction, your writing, and like authorship direction and things like that? Where does you draw a lot of your inspirational material from?
Oh, holy smokes. Originally, and still a bit for myself, is Michael Turner, the late Michael Turner, J. Scott Campbell, and then my inking style was a little different than their artwork. And I came across about 4 or 5 years ago some old Bernie Wrightson stuff, Swamp Thing and heavy metal, and that was it. So as far as art now, a lot of my influence is Bernie Wrightson when it comes to art. Writing, gosh, one of my favorites right now is Steve Niles. You know, I think he's does a great job with the horror. But I've always liked Jeff Loeb also. So, but I would say as of right now, with the projects I'm working on, the biggest influence, Bernie Wrightson and Steve Niles.
Awesome.
Did you, back to his question about the father-daughter thing, how does that work out with, when it comes to the company? Because I'm assuming company-wise, it'd be more equal, right? But then family structure, I'm the dad, but then it's like, well, but you know, how did that work out? Is there any conflict between?
For the most part, he takes care of the business side. I find it boring. We both work on the website. For the most part, he handles drive-through comics. But as far as promotion and everything, we both kind of handle that.
Okay.
Finance-wise, it's him.
Okay.
And it's weird because we'll be working together, and she'll do something on one of the layouts or something, and I know I start getting on her, working her nerve. You need to change it like this. Well, maybe you should go the other way, and I can always tell she's getting ticked off, and I can tell, and I'm like, well, go back the other way. No, let's do it. So I kind of egg it on, but it's weird because once we finish working and we take a break and go have lunch or something like that, it just happens. We're laughing, and you know, and then we go back in. So there's the business side, and then when it's over, we're just, you know,
Back to
father and daughter again. Yeah, it's really weird.
Yeah.
It just happens. It's not something we have to sit down and go, you know, hey, look, this dress thing is, you know, I want you out of the house, and it's never happened.
I'm like,
It's
that's
just-
what happened.
And it's-
Kick me out.
Yeah.
and it's just really weird how it happens.
Yeah.
Along that line, when you guys are writing stuff, I'm sure you guys come up with conflict where one of you wants to take a book or a page or a layout or something in one direction, one wants to go the other way. How do you navigate that conflict of your idea versus her idea, or vice versa?
We've never really had conflicts. We normally agree pretty much on the same thing.
Yeah.
I think the only thing we can kind of we tend to disagree on is in like kind of sometimes it's language for certain books, or just
Yeah,
like
dialogue.
dialogue.
Yeah.
And then in Kitty and Bass, there's kind of an underlying of religious-esque kind of jokes, and we kind of argue about that, but it ties in with my friends, so we tweak it a little bit, and it's pretty much on an okay point now.
So you kind of wanting to go more extreme, and are you trying to rein it in? Is that kind of the way it is?
There's kind of a fine line. I don't mind pushing buttons.
Mm-hmm.
But since it's a business side also, I'm not a fan of censorship. It's just, sometimes I
want
let
to
her know.
alienate ourselves.
Yeah.
And we want to. It's okay to like get our ideas out there and get our beliefs and stuff out there, but not enough to anger people. And like, well, I don't like the stuff that they do now, so I'm kind of gonna stay away from all their stuff.
And we have a lot of
So-
stuff in, comic book stores here in Sacramento, and, if people get really offended by something that we put in, that are gonna come to comic book stores, I can't believe you're selling this stuff, we're gonna like all the news, and,
Yeah.
we don't wanna put pressure on other people. If it was just us, again, I'm completely anti-censorship.
Yeah.
Let her go hog wild, and me too, but there's just a fine line you got to be a little careful with, just because it's the business side and other people are affected.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty much the only thing for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
I'm
I'm
sorry. Go ahead.
her influences are different than mine.
Okay.
So I didn't know if you wanted to touch back.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Pretty much art-wise, a lot of my female characters are from J. Scott Campbell. He's pretty much my only female influence. Art-wise, huh?
Adam Warren.
Yeah, but it's mostly Campbell.
Oh, yeah.
Because I can always tell the difference between Campbell's and someone who has like really similar styles to Campbell. I'm like, I can tell the difference. It's not Campbell. Story-wise, no one really, because I'm not too fond of the writing. Kitty and Bats is just pretty much everything based on real life, so it's not too much thought goes into that. And then everything else is, I always kind of struggle with writing. So like Hataru and Candyland, still on issue 2. I have issue 4 planned out on how I want to end it, but I have to write issue 3 and I have no idea where to take it. So I'm like, I don't like writing, pretty much. And that's why Sugar Rush isn't done yet.
Okay. What do you guys have coming up, or projects you guys are working on coming up soon?
Oh my goodness. We actually have a few that we're working on right now. She's actually hit upon Kitty and Bats #2 will be coming out probably for the SAC anime in September.
Yeah.
So it'll be coming out then, because this SAC anime coming up in January, it won't be ready. We have Dead Town, which is a zombie book. It's going to be about 5 to 7 issues, and so I'm writing and penciling, and she'll be doing some of the female characters again, so mine don't look manly. We actually are redoing the cover because we're finally sold out of Garden of Souls. We had a bunch launch in 2009, so I've redone the cover for that. That'll be launching here shortly. I'm working on Groovie Goolies, which is, again, it's going to be a little darker take on the 70s Saturday morning cartoon.
No problem.
And it's kind of interesting that I'm doing kind of a darker turn on that until I get a cease and desist from 20th Century Fox. And now they're relaunching the Munsters, but they're doing it a drama also. So I wonder if somebody said something. I don't know. The other one we're doing is Squirrel. That'll be launching it in May at Texas Comic Con, I believe it is, written by Jeff Hughes of Comic Book Divas. And we're doing the artwork featuring PJ Souls from John Carpenter's Halloween and Stripes and Rock and Roll High School with the Ramones, Rhonda Shear, Amanda Dyer, Lily Cardone, and a few other
a bunch of other
Scream Queen, or independent movie actresses. I think that's about it.
For right now. We're kind of reining in a lot of the titles that we want to do and spreading them out more, because we tend to do a lot of work in one year, and we're like, oh, what do we do now? So we're
Don't want to get too far ahead.
so we're spreading everything out.
Well, we were planning on doing a big release, again for WonderCon, but WonderCon's in Anaheim this year, and I'm not driving to Anaheim. So, yeah, there's that. But, so we figured we'd just space them out throughout the year and gear up for WonderCon in 2013.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you guys very much for coming down and letting us talk to you and interview you guys.
Thank you for taking the time. This is awesome.
All right. Well, we appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks a lot.